Gonna build a mountain.
Hey guys, and welcome to this first episode of what we know so far about Planet Zoo, which is coming in autumn 2019. And in this specific episode, I want to tell you guys everything we know so far about the animals and their behavior. We all know that Frontier is focusing a lot on the animals and their behavior in this Planet Zoo game, which is going to be amazing. And for that, they had like a researcher from Cambridge University coming on and helping them with like the tons of pages of information of every single species. So there is a lot to talk about in this episode, and I tried to gather as much information of what I know and what is online out there. So it's going to be very exciting because there are so many things I had no clue of, which is really interesting. So please stick with me. Before we jump into that, my name is the Lady Designer for those who don't know, and I've been a Planet Coaster ambassador since 2016, and hopefully I will be asked to be a Planet Zoo ambassador too, because this is totally in my alley. This is going to be really amazing. So if you want to be up to date with everything coming up with Planet Zoo, please make sure to subscribe, of course, if you already haven't, because there is so much information out there and I would love to share it with you guys, and I will be on it for everything that comes out because I just can't wait to know more and more about this amazing game that is coming up. So make sure to subscribe, of course, and put that bell notification on if you want to know more of everything that we can find out about this game. It's going to be amazing, guys. Okay, so first, the animals that are kind of confirmed right now, which we will be getting in Planet Zoo, there will be more than 50 animals in the game, so it's gonna be super excited to see what all these different types of animals will be. So we have the African elephant, we have the gray wolf, aka timber wolf, we have the grizzly bear, we have the hippo, we have the plain zebra, the giraffe, the Indian peafowl, the ring-tailed lemur, the West African lion, western chimpanzee, Brazilian wandering spider, we have the peacock, we have the tiger, we have the antelope, the gorilla, we have a rhino. There's known and confirmed that there are several types of birds they are working on and several snakes, but we have no idea yet what kind of snakes or what kind of birds, so it's gonna be super excited to find out more about that. I'm pretty sure there will be some more awesome animals coming up. So what do we know so far that they have done a lot of research on and we can expect them to put into these animals we will be seeing in Planet Zoo? So for example, they looked into what they eat. Obviously an elephant will eat different than a lion. Like, how much do they eat? Obviously an elephant will eat way more than a zebra, so they really put in those details in these animals. Also, they put a lot of attention in what social groups they would like. So like a zebra likes to be in a group, while a grizzly bear rather stays alone or else he will be grumpy. And that doesn't really mean that you can't put in two grizzly bears in one enclosure, but it does mean that you have to make sure that your enclosure will be big enough so they can be by themselves, even though there are more of the same species in that enclosure. You also need to pay attention to how does their environment look like. So animals will suffer when they don't get their needs and requirements right. You have to give your animals a proper shelter so they won't get unhappy from the weather, such as the snow that will settle to the ground. So you have to place your beddings from your animals in shelter so they don't get wet from the rain, which is a very awesome specific detail. And also, like, what I've learned is that like large trees will also provide some shelter for your animals for the rain, for example, but not like 100%. So they will still get a little bit wet, but they just put in that details in like trees and stuff, which is really amazing. Also, something very interesting I found out is like the roofs, for example, they will actually shelter your animals or even your guests for the rain. So I don't think that you only have to create terrain shelters like caves, but you can also just create an inside enclosure for your animals and your guests to be sheltered for the storms and the rain and the snow and that kind of stuff. So it's very interesting to see how that will work, and I really love that feature in the game, so that will actually just give them shelter for those typical elements, which is really great. Also, with their enclosure, you really you have differences in the types of fences. So you will have glass that will have just one way look through. So the animals will just see some kind of mirror of themselves, but the guests will be able to look at those animals really up close because those animals don't have any idea that the people are there. So I really love that we will have those kind of features into your fences to have it more realistic, like a real zoo. So I'm really curious to see how that will work in the game and how it will look. It's gonna be super excited to know more of. So you also will need to make sure that their landscape is what they need. So how big does their enclosure need to be? Does the environment need sand, or what type of grass or type of soil do they need? And also, do your animals maybe like to go swimming in the water? So you have to have like ponds, different types of deeper ponds, for example. Some animals would like to dive in deep, some animals like just a little bit of water just to walk around. So there are really a lot of details of what type of animal likes to go swimming and what type of animal only just likes to maybe drink from the water or something like that. So it's really cool, and I'm really excited to learn more about that. Also, what they looked into was like, how often does an animal go to the loo and how much they do when they go to the loo. So we did see it in some screenshots, like elephants have a lot of poop laying down everywhere, where other animals might not poop that often. So that's really an awesome detail to know, even though it's a little bit funny, but it's really realistic. So it's really awesome that they looked into that. So how do you entertain your animals? For example, you have the elephants we've seen in the screenshot. They will have a giant football, while lions, for example, will probably get like a scratching pose we've also seen in the trailer. But for example, lion cubs or monkeys, they will have enough fun by playing with each other, which is a very awesome detail, and it's really awesome to know that they will have a lot of interaction with each other. So I really like that detail. So what they also looked into was like, what are specific behaviors for the animals? You have to think of like, the chimps will be grooming each other, which is really awesome. Again, like the interaction with each other. So the chimps will be grooming other chimps. So it's just waiting, like how would other animals react with each other, and how did they put that into the game? And also what was really awesome to hear was like a hippo, for example. He will scatter dung with his little tail like everywhere. So I'm really curious how that will look. But those small little details they put into these animals. So it's just amazing to find out more of these small little details and their specific behaviors of these animals. And also what they told us is like, all animals will be unscripted. You will never see the same walk twice, which is very interesting, and it's gonna give like such a realistic feeling to the game, and I really can't wait to see that. So they will, for example, they will wander around, they will go for a swim, they will play a little bit with maybe some others of the same species, or maybe even interaction with the other animals. I can imagine that you can place, for example, zebras and giraffes. So will they interact with each other? We don't know that yet. We only know for now that they will react to the same species at least, but it's gonna be super interesting to see if they will react to other species in their environment, or they will take a dump on their food tray, which is really funny and such a small detail, but super awesome to find out of. And obviously they will move in herds. So like Jurassic World Evolution, they will have some kind of herd and group feeling. So that's gonna be really amazing and give such a realistic feeling again. So they also did a lot of research in like what kind of traits will animals have. So animals will have their own genome, so no two animals will look the same, which is super awesome. Each individual has subtle differences in their appearance and personality that have been directly inherent from their parents. And so for example, like every zebra will have its own stripes. I've read an article about someone that was like, okay, in the demo version of the game, there were like, I don't know, a lot of different zebras, and every zebra had its own stripes pattern, which is really awesome detail. So they also looked into, for example, like animals having a brown fur, like what kind of shade does that brown fur has. So they really put a lot of effort into that. And do these animals have a playful nature? So every animal will be unique in its own way, which is really awesome. And what also is very awesome to know is that they put a lot of efforts in the sounds of these animals. So some animals will have a different sound from moving their ears, for example. Just think of like an elephant with like the big flappy ears when they move it, like, and it slaps onto their body. So you will hear specific sounds for that. Same goes for moving their tails or shaking, or for their walks. You will even hear a different walk when they walk into the snow, which is really awesome. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how different types of walks and stuff will result into the game. Like, obviously in real life you won't really hear that, but to give it more of a feeling, they did put a lot of attention into the sounds of their movements into the game. So I'm super excited to see more about that and to hear more about that, obviously. And a very fun fact also to know, what I've heard is that a grizzly bear, for example, will be super big and fluffy, and when it sits down on its bum it will look like Winnie the Pooh. I found that just a really nice fun fact and really cute. So the breeding will also be very important into the game. You will have to breed your animals, else you will end up with animals having issues with, for example, fertility or immunity. So there's a lot of focus also on the breeding side. And I'm really hoping, it's not something I know or have read anywhere right now, but I'm really hoping that there will be some kind of digital space where, like, for example, you have made an awesome zoo and you have a very amazing panda male, a grown-up, and I, for example, would need a panda male because I have an amazing and beautiful panda female in my park. And it would be amazing if there would be some kind of option where I could say like, hey, okay, you have a male, can I maybe borrow that male for like $100,000 and I will get your panda male to breed with my panda female. And like that kind of happens in real life too, where zoos like trade with their animals to make sure that their breeding don't have any issues and stuff. So it happens a lot in real life too. So I'm really hoping that we can have some kind of connection between the Planet Zoo community, which would really be amazing if we could do something like that. Also, it has been confirmed that escaping animals will not eat your guests. So I'm not really expecting to have breakouts of animals like in Jurassic World Evolution, but I do think that with like the storms and stuff they announced, that your fences will break down or anything like that. So you can have a running wild lion, for example, but they won't eat your guests. The guests will react to it. They might come unhappy and they will leave your zoo, but there won't be any disgusting scenes or something like that. So something else that I found very interesting to read was you will need to hire employees to research on your animals. And not only that, there will be some kind of zoopedia. I think it will be called zoopedia if I understood right. But over time, that zoopedia will be filled with more information about your animals and their needs. So with hiring these employees, they will do the research to fill that zoopedia, which is not only informative for you as a player, but will also have a connection with the education goal you will have with your guests into your zoo. So I'm really interested to see more about that. So overall, all the information I just gave you guys is just overwhelming and super excited. excited. There are so many small details Frontier puts attention to, and I'm just super excited to see how this will work in game, and obviously to hear more about everything and every little detail all the animals get and all the traits they will get. It's going to be super excited to know more about. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this overview of all the stuff we know right now about all the animals and their behavior. I will do another video about the building section, everything we know about that, and the management and stuff. So it's going to be super interesting too, because I found out a lot of interesting details about that too. And so yeah, make sure to subscribe, of course, if you already haven't, if you want to stay updated with everything possible about Planet Zoo. I will keep you guys informed as much as possible, and we're going to play a lot of Planet Zoo when it comes out. I really honestly can't wait. I'm super excited for this game. This is totally my alley. Like, Planet Coaster is amazing, but for those of you that know me know I love to do the nature and stuff, like placing rocks and a lot of trees and bushes to look a natural scene looks so amazing. So this is totally going to be my thing, like creating beautiful enclosures for the animals. It's going to be super excited, I promise you guys. So hopefully you guys join me in this trip towards the launch, and after that by using this game and to find out every little detail possible of how this game works and to explore everything. It's going to be super excited. So yeah, guys, I really hope to see you there, and for now, please leave a like at the video because it does really help out the channel, of course. And let me know in the comment section, like, what was new for you guys to hear in this video, and what do you look forward to the most of? What are your ideas of how these animals could behave? I'm just really curious to read all of your comments and excitement, obviously. And if you think that I've missed out on any information what is out there, please do let us all know in the comment section too, because we all want to stay up to date, right? So yeah, I really hope to read all your comments there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope to see you all in the next one. Bye guys.
Push that daydream up the mountain slow.